Hello, everyone. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt perfectly fine on the outside? Your checkups are good, your blood pressure is stable. But on the inside, you feel heavy? Like you're carrying a weight that no scale can ever measure? As a doctor specializing in the health of those over 60, I see this all the time. I call it silent aging. It is the kind of stress that doesn't show up on a lab test, but can be far more damaging to your heart health over time than high cholesterol. This invisible weight, this emotional baggage, triggers a constant, low-grade release of stress hormones like cortisol, and that can wear down your immune system, cloud your memory, and even make your skin feel more fragile. But what if I told you that the most powerful prescription for a lighter heart and a healthier body isn't a pill? After decades of practice, I can tell you with absolute certainty. The key to truly thriving in your later years is subtraction, not addition. It is all about what you choose to let go of. This isn't just a theory from a textbook. I'm talking about real people. I remember a patient of mine, a good man we'll call Frank. 72 years old, a retired engineer with a great pension. But his wife brought him to me because he had simply lost his spark. He would just sit in his chair for hours, staring out the window. His physical health was fine, but he was fading away. He was carrying the weight of 3 specific, unresolved burdens from his past. In today's video, we are going to walk through the 3 prescriptions I gave Frank. Now, these aren't medications you pick up at the pharmacy. There are 3 simple, powerful habits to leave behind. I will explain exactly why they weigh you down physically, and give you the simple, free steps to set them down for good. And please, make sure you stay with me for the 3rd one. It is the habit that, in my medical opinion, has the most direct and dangerous link to chronic inflammation and heart disease. Learning to release it could genuinely add healthier, happier years to your life. Everything we discuss today is based on decades of my own clinical observation and on the established science of psychoneuroimmunology. That is just the scientific term for the powerful, undeniable connection between your mind, your brain, and your body's immune system. Before we dive in, I truly want to know how many of us are in this together. If that feeling of carrying an invisible weight feels familiar to you, please just take a moment to comment a simple yes below. It lets me know I'm on the right track, and more importantly, it shows others in our community that they are not alone. Okay, let's get started. Alright, let's begin. We are going to walk through the 3 simple, yet profound, habits you can begin to let go of starting today. Think of these not as tasks, but as acts of liberation for your own health and happiness. Habit number 1. Let go of the weight of past regrets. The first prescription I want to discuss deals with a condition I see almost daily in my practice. It's what I call a chronic case of the what-ifs. It is the heavy, persistent habit of replaying the past. You know the feeling. The job you didn't take 40 years ago. The investment that went south. The argument with a loved one where you wish, more than anything, you could take back the words you said in the heat of the moment. These memories can feel as real and as sharp today as they did when they happened. They become stories we tell ourselves over and over again until they feel like a part of who we are. But from a medical perspective, they are so much more than just stories. They are active, biological events happening inside your body right now. Every single time you dwell on a powerful regret, your brain, that incredible and complex organ, cannot tell the difference between a real, present threat and a vividly remembered one. It reacts the same way. It triggers a small, but very real, fight or flight response. This causes your adrenal glands to release a cascade of stress hormones, most notably cortisol. Now, in the short term, cortisol is essential. It helps you deal with immediate danger. But when your mind keeps replaying old hurts, it subjects your body to a slow, chronic drip of these powerful hormones, day after day, year after year. And the long-term effects of this are devastating. This chronic low-level stress can lead to restless nights and poor sleep, leaving you feeling exhausted before your day has even begun. It can create that frustrating mental fog that makes it hard to concentrate. Over time, it can even make your body more resistant to insulin, which is a key factor in developing type 2 diabetes. The weight of the past becomes a very real weight on your physical health. Now, why does this seem to get more intense as we get older? The core reason lies in how our brains work. As we age, Our brains have simply had more time to solidify these neural pathways. Think of your brain like a field of grass. The first time you walk a certain path, the first time you dwell on a specific regret, you bend a few blades of grass. But if you walk that same path every day for 30 or 40 years, you wear a deep groove into the earth. That path becomes the easiest, most automatic route for your thoughts to take. The groove of regret gets deeper, and it becomes easier and easier to fall into, often without even realizing it. That is why letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about consciously choosing to walk a new path, to let the old one slowly grow over. The most common symptom I hear from my patients is this one. They'll tell me, "Doc, I find myself wide awake at 3 in the morning, and my mind is just racing. I'm thinking about something that happened back in the 70s. That is not just a bad night's sleep. That is a direct, physical consequence of a mind that has not been given permission to let go. That racing heart, that feeling of anxiety in the pit of your stomach, that is the cortisol speaking. It's your body reacting to a ghost." I think of my patient, Robert, the man I mentioned earlier, who had dreamed of opening a woodworking shop. When he came to see me, his regret wasn't just a sad thought he had from time to time. It had manifested as a complete and total lack of motivation. It was a heavy blanket that smothered every bit of joy in his life. His wife told me he had stopped playing with his grandchildren, he had no interest in his old hobbies, and he wouldn't even join his friends for their weekly coffee meeting. When I finally sat down with him, just the two of us, he looked at me with such tired eyes and said, "Doc, what's the point of doing anything now? The time for that is gone." That is the poison of regret at work. It convinces you that your story is over when, in fact, you still have so many beautiful chapters left to write. It steals the energy from your present by convincing you that your best days are in the past. So, what is the prescription? It is simple, and it is free. The solution is to begin to reframe regret as data. It's no longer a weapon to beat yourself up with. It becomes a tool you learn from. Tonight, before you go to sleep, I want you to take a simple piece of paper and a pen. On one side of the paper, I want you to write down one regret that weighs on you. Be honest with yourself. Then, on the other side, I want you to write the words, "What I learned from this," and list at least one thing. Perhaps a bad investment taught you to be more cautious. Perhaps a painful argument taught you the importance of thinking before you speak. You are not erasing the past. You are extracting its wisdom. You are turning a wound that has festered for years into a scar that tells a story of survival and growth. Please, stop letting a memory from the past rob the precious energy from your present. Your past is a teacher, not a jailer. It gave you the wisdom and the strength that you possess today. This isn't about forgetting what happened. It is about forgiving yourself for being human. You made the best decisions you could with the information and the experience you had at that time. It's time to offer yourself the same grace and compassion you would so freely give to a friend. If you believe it's never too late to learn from our past and to find peace, please take a moment to comment on the word wisdom below. Let's affirm this powerful truth together. Habit number 2. Let go of relationships that drain your spirit. Alright, the second habit we must learn to leave behind is one that can feel incredibly difficult because it involves other people. It's the habit of maintaining what I call toxic connections out of a sense of guilt, history, or obligation. We all have them in our lives to some degree. It might be that old friend from high school who only calls to complain, unloading all of their negativity onto you for an hour, but never once asking how you are doing. Or perhaps it's a family member whose every visit is filled with subtle criticisms and backhanded compliments, leaving you feeling smaller and more exhausted than you were before they arrived. We tell ourselves, "Oh, that's just how they are," or "We've known each other for so long." But the silent toll these relationships take on our physical health is immense. This is not just you being overly sensitive. It is a very real biological phenomenon known as emotional contagion. Your nervous system, particularly as you get older and more attuned to the world, has a remarkable ability to subconsciously mirror the emotional state of the people you are with. When you spend time with someone who is chronically negative, anxious, or angry, your own body begins to subtly enter a state of stress. Your muscles tense up, your breathing becomes shallower, and your blood pressure can actually elevate during and immediately after the interaction. Constant exposure to this kind of negativity literally puts your body in a state of chronic, low-grade stress. It's like leaving your car engine idling all day long. Eventually, it just wears out the battery. The core reason this becomes so critical as we age is that our social energy is a much more precious and limited resource than it was in our younger years. When you were 30, you might have had the energy to deal with a dozen different social obligations and draining personalities. But in our later years, our energy is like a fixed income. We have a finite amount, and we have to be much more intentional about how we spend it. We simply cannot afford to allocate large portions of our precious energy to interactions that don't replenish our spirit, but instead leave us in a deficit. Choosing to protect your peace is not selfish. It's a critical part of a healthy aging strategy. It's as important as eating well or getting enough sleep. The most common symptom of a draining relationship is a very physical one. If you find that you need to sit down and rest, or even take a nap, after a phone call or a visit with a certain person, that is a powerful physical sign. That is your body telling you that this interaction has cost you a significant amount of your vital energy. That feeling of being completely washed out is your nervous system recovering from being on high alert for the entire duration of that encounter. Pay attention to those physical cues. Your body is an incredibly wise messenger, and it never lies. I had a patient named Susan, a lovely woman in her late 70s. She used to tell me how much she dreaded Tuesdays. For years, I thought it was just a funny quirk. But one day, she opened up. Tuesday was the day her old college roommate, a woman she'd known for 50 years, always called. Susan described how, for an hour every week, she would listen to a non-stop stream of complaints about her friend's health, her kids, and her finances. Susan's smartwatch, which she wore to track her heart health, showed a fascinating pattern. Every Tuesday, around noon, her heart rate would spike and stay elevated for the entire hour of the call. She was having a real, measurable, physical stress reaction to the negativity. Her friendship, or what was left of it, had literally become a weekly health hazard. The prescription here is not to cause drama or to have a big, confrontational blow-up. It is to quietly and lovingly create healthy boundaries. You are the gatekeeper of your own peace, and you have the right to decide who and what you allow into your space. The action can start very small. If that draining phone call typically lasts an hour, decide ahead of time that you will only talk for 10 minutes. You can say warmly, "It's so good to hear from you. I've only got a few minutes before my next appointment, but I wanted to say hi." You are in control. If a visit from a critical family member always leaves you feeling depleted, you can shorten the visit. You can meet them in a neutral place, like a coffee shop, instead of your home. These small shifts give you back your power. You are not ending the relationship. You are simply changing the terms of engagement to protect your own well-being. It is time to be the guardian of your own peace. Give yourself permission to protect your energy. It is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself. I know this can be a difficult truth to accept, especially when it involves people we have known our entire lives. If this insight was surprising, or if it hit home for you in a powerful way, just type "wow" in the comments. It is okay to be taken aback by this. Recognizing it is the first step toward reclaiming your peace. Habit number 3. Let go of resentment and bitterness. And finally, we arrive at the third and, from a purely medical standpoint, the most dangerous habit of all. This is the one I urged you to stay for. It's the silent, insidious poison of resentment. It's the act of holding a grudge, sometimes for decades, against someone who wronged you. A business partner who cheated you, a friend who betrayed your trust, a sibling who said something unforgivable during a heated argument. And just as importantly, it is the act of holding a grudge against yourself, forgiving everyone else, but never yourself for mistakes you made long ago. We often think that holding on to this anger is a way of protecting ourselves, or a way of holding the other person accountable. We think it keeps the memory of the injustice alive. But in truth, the only person being held prisoner by that grudge is you. Of all the negative emotions we can experience, chronic anger and resentment have the most direct and well-documented link to chronic inflammation. And as a doctor who specializes in aging, I can tell you that inflammation is the smoldering fire that lies at the root of so many age-related diseases. From the daily pain of aching arthritic joints to the life-threatening risks of heart disease and even some forms of cognitive decline, chronic inflammation is the common enemy. Holding on to resentment is like keeping your body in a constant state of low-grade alarm. Your immune system is activated, your blood vessels are constricted, and your body is flooded with inflammatory chemicals. Your body is fighting a battle, day in and day out. But the enemy is a memory, and it is exhausting your precious resources, leaving you vulnerable to real illness. Why does this become such a heavy burden in our later years? The simple truth is that the longer we live, the more opportunities we have had to be hurt or wronged. Life is full of imperfections and disappointments. If we don't learn the skill of how to properly process these hurts and then release them, they begin to accumulate inside of us. I want you to imagine these old resentments accumulating like plaque inside an artery. A single small hurt might not do much damage, but decades of accumulated bitterness can slowly, silently harden your heart, both emotionally and, quite literally, physically. It restricts the flow of joy, peace, and love in your life, just as plaque restricts the flow of blood. The physical symptoms of deep-seated resentment can be frustratingly vague, often leading people on a long and fruitless journey from one specialist to another. It can manifest as that unexplained fatigue that lingers no matter how much you sleep. It can be the source of those persistent, migrating body aches that seem to have no cause. It can even be that sour feeling of bitterness that taints your morning coffee and casts a gray shadow over a beautiful day. These are not just feelings. They can be the physical cries for help from a body that is weighed down by unresolved anger. I will never forget a woman I treated named Margaret. She came to me suffering from debilitating headaches for over a year. She had seen neurologists, she'd had MRIs and CT scans, she'd tried a dozen different medications, and nothing could explain or relieve her pain. During a long conversation about her life, she mentioned, almost as an afterthought, an inheritance dispute with her brother that had happened 20 years ago. They hadn't spoken since. As she talked about it, her face tightened, her voice became strained. The anger was as fresh as if it had happened yesterday. It became clear to me that her body was expressing the pain her heart refused to let go of. Her resentment was manifesting as real, physical pain. The anger was trapped in her body, with nowhere to go. The prescription, then, is the most powerful medicine available, and it is the one you have the power to administer to yourself. It is the act of forgiveness, as a selfish act for your own health. Let me be very clear. Forgiveness does not mean that what the other person did was okay. It does not excuse their behavior. It does not mean you have to forget the pain they caused. Forgiveness is simply you making a conscious decision that you are no longer willing to let that event from the past poison your present. It is you deciding to cancel the subscription to their drama. The action is a simple, private intention. You can do it right now. Just say to yourself, silently or out loud, for the sake of my own health, for the sake of my own peace, I choose to release this. You are not freeing them. You are freeing yourself. There's an old saying that holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. For your health, for your heart, for your peace of mind, it is time to put the glass down. If you are ready to choose your own health over old hurts, ready to choose a future of peace over a past of pain, please comment the word peace below. This is a powerful declaration to yourself and to our entire community. As we bring our time together to a close, I want to circle back to the story we began with. Remember my patient, Frank? The 72-year-old retired engineer who had lost his spark, the man whose wife said he was slowly fading away. About 6 months after our talk, after I shared these 3 principles with him, he came back to my office for a routine checkup. The change, I have to tell you, was remarkable. The heaviness in his eyes was gone. He had a lightness about him. He told me, with a genuine smile, that he'd started a small garden in his backyard. Just a few tomato plants and some herbs, but it got him outside in the sun every morning. He was taking his wife out for walks again, something they hadn't done in years. He leaned forward in his chair and said something to me that I will never forget. He said, "Doc, I finally set down those suitcases you told me about. They were just too heavy to carry anymore." He didn't magically change his past. He couldn't. But he did something far more powerful. He changed his relationship to it. He decided that the rest of his life was going to be about the view in front of him, not the one in the rearview mirror. That is the power of letting go. If there is one great lesson I have learned in all my years as a doctor, it is this. Your health isn't just about the food you put into your body or the pills you take. It is just as much about what you are willing to release from your heart. True, lasting well-being is not found in accumulation. It is found in lightness. The peace you are searching for comes from setting down the burdens that were never yours to carry forever. But knowledge is only powerful when we put it into action. So now, I have one very important and very personal question for you. What is the one commitment you are making to yourself this week after watching this video? I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. Just choose one small, manageable thing. It could be as simple as, I will reframe one regret and find the lesson in it. Or maybe, I will shorten one draining phone call to protect my peace. Or perhaps, it's just the quiet, private promise to yourself, I will set the intention to forgive. Please, share your personal commitment in the comments below. Your story and your promise will become a source of strength and inspiration for others in our community who are taking that same first step. Let's encourage each other. And if you found real value and inspiration in our time together today, please show your support by giving this video a like. To ensure you continue on this journey with us, and never miss another conversation full of life-changing wisdom, hit that subscribe button. It's more than just subscribing. It's joining a community of friends, all of us dedicated to living our best and healthiest lives together. Finally, I want you to think of just one person. One person in your life who you know might be carrying these heavy bags. Please, share this video with them. You never know whose life you might lighten. Thank you for your time and your trust. Stay healthy, stay wise, and I will see you in the next video.